Days after the latest Pokemon Scarlet and Violet trailer, it seems as though we may have found a hidden Pokemon that lines up exactly with what the Riddler's been saying. Let's take a look. Yo, whoa, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka A-Drive, and if you've been following the riddles and rumors up to this point, there's been a lot teasing the fact that we're getting a brand new form or something to do with Diglett, and it seems as though some users online may have actually uncovered that Diglett was in the most recent trailer and we didn't even see it. New images have surfaced from Soul Silver Art and many others like Vitor Desiderio, who posted this screenshot from the trailer. If you guys remember that scene of the Pokemon under the ground that was kind of pushing the ground, it seems as though when you slow it down and you freeze frame, you can almost make out a shape that looks very much like Diglett's nose. And what's interesting about this is Diglett has been a Pokemon that has been covered many times through the Riddler, the Chinese Riddler, saying images about Diglett, this fake art of Diglett, which was like showing a cloud form of Diglett, and then he retweeted a post about Diglett as well. So we may be onto something massive here in the sense that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is going to have something new with Diglett. This has been speculated for a while, but now that I see this screenshot with it kind of enhanced a little bit, it really does look like it could be Diglett. Now, it could be something else, but it's very clear that they hid this Pokemon for a reason, right? Like, they did not want to show us this Pokemon. So, ultimately, I'll let you guys be the judge, but I think this is one step closer to us getting a brand new form of Diglett revealed. We obviously got the Alolan form. We've seen them do multiple regional forms for the same Pokemon like Meowth. Would they do another form for Diglett in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? The Riddler, our primary source of information, has made another post saying, "Who would you rather?" I'll drop something about the winner, and it is a poll with 6 days left, so make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss out on this update. But they're going to drop information about either Smoliv or Palmy, and as of right now, the poll with 17,000 votes has Smoliv at 55% out of the lead right now. So a pretty big, significant margin there for Smoliv. So it seems as though we're going to get some information about Smoliv in about 6 days once this poll ends. So keep an eye out, like I said, for that. I saw some really cool rumors about Smoliv turning into the first ever fire and grass type Pokemon because it's grass normal, and a lot of times Pokemon lose their normal typing, or you think of that as kind of a basic. And olive is used in cooking, olive oil really, so maybe it gets hot and it turns into a fire type. I don't know, just some fun speculation and fan theories. But we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with Smoliv, but we are going to get some insight from the Riddler in about a week. I think this is worth mentioning as well. Yesterday I did a breakdown on when I am expecting the next batch of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet news. This post from Soul Silver and Mark Morez actually details out how Pokemon has been kind of revealing these different posters for visiting Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and they've got a full date breakout here. June 22nd is when they're going to reveal Galar, and it just so happens that the following week after that would be a great time for them to reveal Scarlet and Violet, because as a reminder, we still don't have the region name for this game. So I actually feel like this is very true, and I think that it's very likely that by the end of the month we get even more information about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, because again, it's kind of weird that they haven't revealed the region name yet. We've got another great breakdown from Soul Silver talking about some of the imagery in the trailer, and we're going to do a more in-depth breakdown here as well. But the first one here is this picture from the first trailer of this net and this kind of creature, whatever it may be. Could have something to do with the evil team. We're thinking that there could be something with a fisherman's net. Maybe the evil team are pirates that steal Pokemon. We'll have to wait and see. The second picture is a shot from the gym. I believe that this is the gym symbol, and I think it's an important symbol to look at because it does look like it's a sailboat in a way, right? I think that there's going to be a big nautical theme with this game, which I think is very fitting of the region itself. Soul Silver then goes on to break down the gym symbols, having Pokeballs in their designs. You've got the two different academies. You've got the orange and the grape. It seems as though, depending on the game you play, you're going to be a part of either these academies or these programs or whatever it is, whether it's school or not. We'll wait and see. There's another breakdown we're going to look at here. Then you've got this other image here, this racing flag symbol with the stars. We've talked about this. This was in the first trailer. It's in the second trailer now. So ultimately, we'll have to wait and see. And then there's this racing sub-theme, and I think this is really worth mentioning, as Eduardo points out here. There's a huge racing sub-theme here, right? You've got the two legendaries, Miraidon and Koraidon, which are very clearly based off of like hover bikes and motorcycles, essentially. So they definitely reference that. The Pokemon centers look like pit stops or gas stations, despite the racing prices of gas they're gonna be utilized. I hope it's electric. That's one more reason to pick Pokemon Violet, because it's electric. You know what I mean? You're saving on gas. It's getting up there right now. Then you've got an advertisement on the board for tires and wheels and the Quillfish, which I thought was a really cute ad. You've got the Lightning Star logo appearing on the racing flags, and then racing is popular in Iberia. So again, I think there's going to be a theme here with racing, some sort of racing. And again, we really do feel like these legendaries can change forms to multiple different forms, from the fact that the trailer takes them from the sky to the ground in the canyon, over the water. You know, there was a lot of imagery and symbolism there. I really think that we're onto something big with that. D. Karan points out this green icon at the Pokemon Center, which seems to be mysterious at this point. We've got the first two, which are obviously like healing and the Pokemart, but this one was also shown in the first trailer, and Anago Lightning actually says maybe this has to do with the racing. Maybe it's like these different types of ribbons that you get for doing different things. Maybe you have to earn these ribbons. Maybe this has to do with clothing is another thought. We'll have to wait and see what this symbol ends up being, but I think it's an important symbol, and it's interesting that this is normally where the, you know, kind of the cafe was, if you were to compare it to Sword and Shield. So ultimately we'll have to see. And I really like this breakdown from Eduardo. I feel like there's some really good stuff here. I'll link the thread in the description, and I'll kind of go through some of these different pieces of it. But what they did was they kind of broke down the entire everything, really. They looked at every single Pokemon. They looked at all the different stuff. I thought there was some really good stuff here. Some of the main things I want to point out is how they talked about the kind of the early routes, right? They talked about the player and Nimona having the same uniform. I thought that was really interesting, that you could be between 5th and 6th grade. They talk about the different statues and things like that. But some of the big stuff is the breakdown of almost like the world itself. So the first route is a straight route connecting the player's house to someone else's house. Before the trailer shows you the game logos, you can see the area with both houses to get an idea of the landscape, which I actually called that out too. I noticed like that first scene where it pans the logo over kind of this open area, you can actually see later in the trailer, you see it from a different angle with the Venonats, and you can see the little ruins in the bottom left. So definitely some cool stuff. The scenes that we see the starters are very reminiscent to when we saw the starters in Sword and Shield, with Sobble in the pond and Scorbunny running around and stuff like that. So the house that you ultimately go to, probably not Nimona's. Maybe it belongs to a rival character that gives you the starters. Maybe it's the professor. We'll have to wait and see. It says the middle route that you get to see the Power of Science guy, and then ultimately you go to the route, the road, which will probably take you to the first location, which is probably a small village similar to Wedgehurst. Now this is where the breakdown gets really cool. The route following the smaller location leads you up to the big city's front gate bridge, which has red decorations as seen in the trailer. That's where you have your first trainer battle against Nimona. Then this is the cool stuff here. The trailer makes it clear that the city has color-coded bridge gates, perhaps 4 in total, thus matching the colors of Gen 1 RGBY. Red gate, blue gate, yellow gate, and a green gate if it exists, which is kind of filling in the gaps there. But either way, red, blue, yellow are there, and you can see from these screenshots, this person really laid it out. The gates are there, and they're colored as well, which I thought was very cool, very fitting, and a great observation that I glanced over, to be honest. I didn't even notice that. In front of the red gate is where that 4-player multi-battle happens. They did mention that the starter Pokemon don't really keep up with you, so hopefully they'll fix that. It's been a kind of an ongoing theme with the following Pokemon where they can't keep up. And then I thought it was worth noting, going back to the first trailer, the city with the plaza and the battlefield, perhaps speculating what some of the types for the gym leaders could be. Not super convinced. I think it's a good theory at this point, but we'll have to wait and see. A lot of the other stuff Eduardo points out is stuff that we've covered on the channel up to this point, but I just thought that the breakdown of the different gates and kind of a theory on how you start your journey was actually really sound, and it made a lot of sense to me, so I could see that being the case. So as you can see, even days later, we're still discovering things about the most recent trailer, and I don't think we're gonna have to wait long until the next one. Keep an eye out on the channel because the Riddler is gonna be dropping new information about most likely Smoliv, but we'll have to wait and see how that poll kind of breaks out. And do you think it actually is a Diglett or a new Diglett regional form based on the riddles we've gotten from Ku and the fact that it does kind of look like Diglett's nose when you slow down that frame in the trailer? We'll have to wait and see. Hit that like button if you guys enjoyed, and make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And that's gonna be it for me. My name is Dan. I also go by A-Drive, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.